This video is going to be about the most insane automotive comeback story of 2025. We're talking about legendary classics getting a modern-day glow-up, and trust me, these aren't your average restorations. These icons are being reborn with cutting-edge tech while keeping that soul-stirring nostalgia we all love. From tire-shredding muscle cars to elegant European sports cars, these 7 machines are about to prove that what's old can be new again, and even more epic. Whether you're a die-hard petrol head or just love awesome cars, you're going to want to see these incredible transformations. 2025 Chevrolet Malibu. The design is straight-up savage. Chevy's designers clearly got the memo that the generation want cars with attitude. The front end rocks this aggressive stance with a massive blacked-out grille that makes the BMW M3's controversial nose look tame. They've taken inspiration from the iconic 70s Malibu SS, but cranked everything up to 11. When looking inside the hood, things get really interesting. The standard model comes with a turbocharged 2.5-liter 4-cylinder, pushing out a respectable 290 horsepower. But here's where it gets wild. They're offering a performance variant with a twin-turbo V6 that throws down 400 horses. The interior is where you really see that Chevy's been paying attention to what young buyers want. The dash is dominated by a massive 15.5-inch touchscreen that makes Tesla's setup look dated. But unlike some manufacturers who've gone all in on touchscreens, Chevy kept physical controls for the important stuff. The climate controls and drive mode selectors get their own dedicated buttons, because nobody wants to dive through 3 menus just to turn up the AC. Tech-wise, this thing is loaded. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard, obviously, but they've also included a 14-speaker Bose audio system that'll make your Spotify playlist sound insane. The customizable ambient lighting system lets you set the perfect mode for your late-night drives. Let's talk about the drive modes, because this is where the new Malibu really flexes. You've got your standard Eco and Comfort modes, but switch it into Sport Plus, and the whole character of the car changes. The adaptive suspension drops 0.4 inches. The steering tightens up, and the exhaust note gets properly aggressive. There's even a custom mode where you can dial in everything exactly how you want it. The performance specs are no joke either. The V6 model hits 60 miles per hour in 4.5 seconds, and quick enough to embarrass plenty of sports cars at the stoplight. But it's not just straight-line speed. Chevy's engineers spent serious time at the Nürburgring dialing in the handling. The result is a sedan that can actually hang with the German performance cars in the corners. And the fuel economy? Better than you'd expect. The standard Turbo 4 gets 32 miles per gallon highway, and even the monster V6 manages 28 miles per gallon when you're not hammering it. There's also a hybrid version coming that'll do 40 miles per gallon, while still throwing down 325 combined horsepower. Pricing is aggressive too. The base model starts at $32,995, while the fully loaded V6 version tops out around $45,000. That's tens of thousands less than comparable German metal, leaving you plenty of cash for mods. Speaking of mods, Chevy's made it clear they're cool with people tweaking these cars. They've even worked with some major aftermarket companies to ensure parts will be available at launch. The ECU is relatively open for tuning, and there's plenty of room in the engine bay for upgrades. Here's the bottom line. The 2025 Malibu is proof that American car manufacturers can still bring the heat when they want to. It's got the performance to run with cars costing twice as much technology that'll make your friends jealous, and styling that turns heads wherever it goes. Plus, it's actually attainable for young buyers who don't want to sell a kidney for a cool car. The only real question is whether Chevy can make enough of them to meet demand, because if early reactions are anything to go by, this thing is going to sell like crazy. They've managed to make a sedan that people actually want to buy in 2025, and that's no small feat. 2025 Ford Torino. In 2025, Ford's bringing back a legend that'll make both old-school muscle car fans and modern performance enthusiasts lose their minds. The 2025 Ford Torino isn't just a resurrection. It's a full-blown reimagining of one of Detroit's most iconic nameplates, and it's packing some serious heat. Let's get straight to what you're all wondering about. What's under the hood? Ford's not playing around here. The new Torino comes strapped with a twin-turbocharged 5.0-liter V8, pushing out a tire-shredding 680 horsepower. The design? It's like Ford's designers took the best elements of the classic 70s Torino GT, hit them with a dose of cyberpunk, and cranked everything up to 11. You've got that signature fastback silhouette, but now it's got this wicked aggressive stance that makes it look like it's doing 100 miles per hour standing still. The front end rocks this mean-looking grille that pays homage to the original but adds modern LED lighting that looks absolutely amazing at night. But here's where it gets really interesting. Ford's not just building another retro muscle car. They've packed this beast with tech that would make a Tesla blush. We're talking about a fully digital cockpit with a 15-inch touchscreen that can control everything from the active exhaust system to the adaptive suspension. The heads-up display projects all your vital stats onto the windshield, so you never have to take your eyes off the road when you're pushing it hard. Performance-wise, this thing is an absolute monster. 0 to 60, we're looking at 3.2 seconds. Quarter mile, 11.1 seconds. But it's not just about straight line speed anymore. Ford's engineers have given this thing handling capabilities that would make European sports cars nervous. The chassis is all aluminum and carbon fiber, keeping weight down to 3,800 pounds. Pretty impressive for a car this size. The interior is where old school meets new school in the best way possible. You've got these awesome retro-style bucket seats, but they're loaded with modern comfort features like heating, cooling, and massage functions. The dash has these classic-looking analog gauges, but they're actually high-res displays that can be customized to show whatever info you want. One of the best features has to be the active aerodynamics. At high speeds, a hidden rear spoiler deploys and the front splitter extends to keep this beast planted. But unlike some other cars that look like they're trying too hard, all this tech is beautifully integrated into that classic Torino shape. Price-wise, Ford's positioning this as a premium muscle car. Starting around $75,000, it's not cheap, but considering the performance and technology you're getting, it's actually a pretty solid value, compared to some European alternatives that'll cost you twice as much. Production is going to be limited to 3,000 units for the first year, with a special launch edition of 400 cars that come with unique paint options and some extra carbon fiber goodies. And yes, they're all going to be assembled right here in America at Ford's Flat Rock assembly plant. The best part? Ford's managed to make this thing relatively practical. The trunk is actually usable. You can fit adults in the back seats without them hating you. And if you keep your foot out of it, you can even get decent gas mileage thanks to cylinder deactivation technology. This isn't just another retro cash grab. This is Ford showing the world that American muscle cars can evolve without losing their soul. The 2025 Torino is proof that you can respect heritage while pushing the boundaries of what's possible with modern technology. Whether you're a die-hard Ford fan, a muscle car enthusiast, or just someone who appreciates badass machines, the new Torino is going to turn heads and light up tires in equal measure. It's the kind of car that makes you want to take the long way home every single time. 2025 Chevy Impala. 2025 is also seeing the rebirth of an absolute legend, the 2025 Chevy Impala. This isn't just another comeback story. This is Chevrolet taking one of America's most iconic nameplates and dragging it straight into the future. The Impala's back, and it's bringing some serious heat to the modern sedan game. Remember those massive land yachts you used to watch at car shows? Well, Chevy's taken that muscular DNA and injected it with enough modern tech to make a Tesla owner do a double take. The 2025 Impala rocks a design that pays homage to those legendary 64 and 67 models, but with a twist that'll make you forget everything you knew about Grandpa's old cruiser. Let's get into the meat of this beast. Under that sculpted hood, Chevy's offering two power plant options that'll get your blood pumping. The standard setup is a twin-turbo 3.0-liter V6, pushing out a whopping 400 horsepower. But if that's not enough to get your heart racing, there's the big boy, a naturally aspirated 6.2-liter V8 borrowed from the Camaro SS, tuned to deliver 455 horses of pure American muscle. Both engines are paired with a 10-speed automatic that shifts faster than your Instagram feed refreshes. Looking inside, it's like Chevy's designers went to the future and brought back all the good stuff. The 15-inch curved touchscreen dominates the dash, but they've kept just enough physical controls to make sure you're not playing finger painter while trying to adjust the AC. The digital gauge cluster is fully customizable. And yes, you can set it up to look like those classic analog dials from the 60s. But here's where it gets interesting. Chevy's not just building a muscle car with 4 doors. They've loaded this thing with tech that would make Silicon Valley jealous. We're talking about an augmented reality heads-up display that makes navigation look like a video game, a 22-speaker Bose audio system that'll blow your beanie off, and enough driver assistance features to make your commute feel like you're living in 2035. The chassis is all new, built on GM's latest VSSR platform, which means this isn't just some souped-up Malibu. The Impala rides on an adaptive air suspension that can drop the car by 2 inches in sport mode or raise it for those annoying parking lot entrances. Magnetic ride control comes standard on the V8 model, reading the road and adjusting the dampers 1,000 times per second. Let's talk style for a second. The new Impala brings back those iconic triple taillights, but now they're connected by an LED light bar that does this 6 sequential dance when you unlock the car. The front end rocks a modern interpretation of the 67's hidden headlights, with LED matrix beams that can literally project patterns on the ground when you approach the car. And those wheels? 20-inch standards with optional 22s that fill out those muscular fenders like a heavyweight boxer in a tailored suit. When you step inside, you're getting more space than a downtown loft. The wheelbase is longer than the previous Impala, which means you can actually fit real humans in the back seat. The trunk is massive enough to swallow 4 golf bags or enough camping gear for a weekend escape with your crew, and the rear seats fold down 60-40. When it comes to pricing, Chevy's positioning this as a premium offering, but they're keeping it real. The base model with the twin-turbo V6 starts around $45,000, while the V8 version will set you back about $55,000. That might sound steep until you compare it to the German competition that's easily pushing $70,000 for similar performance. The 2025 Impala isn't just a car. It's Chevrolet's statement that American sedans aren't dead. They're evolving. It's proof that with enough horsepower, style, and attitude, you can bring anything back from the dead and make it cooler than ever. 2025 Chevrolet Caprice. At number 4, we have the 2025 Caprice, which is what happens when Detroit decides to inject pure adrenaline into a classic nameplate. The new Caprice isn't just a comeback. It's a complete reimagining of what a modern American muscle sedan should be. Chevy's engineers basically said, let's build something that'll make Dodge Charger owners lose sleep. Looking under the hood, the base model comes with a twin-turbo 3.6-liter V6, pushing out 420 horsepower. But the real party piece is the optional 6.2-liter LT4 V8. That's right, they stuffed the Corvette Z06 beating heart into this thing. We're talking 650 horsepower of pure American muscle, channeled through a 10-speed automatic transmission that shifts faster than your Instagram feed refreshes. The exterior design? It's like Chevy took the classic Caprice DNA and sent it to the gym for a year. The front end is aggressive with a massive blacked-out grille and LED headlights, and the hood bulge isn't just for show. It's actually functional, helping to cool that monster engine underneath. The profile keeps the classic long hood, short deck proportion, but adds modern muscle car touches like flared fenders and a carbon fiber roof. Stepping inside, this isn't your typical rental car interior. Chevy's gone all in on the premium vibe while keeping that performance edge. The 12.3-inch digital cluster is customizable with different display modes, including a track layout that gives you all your performance metrics in real time. The 15-inch central touchscreen runs a completely revamped infotainment system with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, plus a custom performance app that lets you log your track days and quarter-mile runs. The seats? They're like gaming chairs designed by NASA. The bolsters adjust automatically based on G-forces, literally hugging you tighter when you're carving through corners. And yes, they're still comfortable enough for those late-night food runs or cross-country road trips. But here's where it gets really interesting. Chevy's actually made this thing handle. The chassis is built on GM's new performance platform, sharing some DNA with the Cadillac CT5V Blackwing. You get magnetic ride control standard, an electronic limited slip differential, and massive Brembo brakes that could probably stop time itself. When it comes to performance numbers, the V8 version hits 60 miles per hour in 3.4 seconds, runs the quarter mile in 11.2 seconds, and tops out at 200 miles per hour. Even the V6 model is no slouch, hitting 60 in 4.1 seconds. But straight line speed isn't the whole story. This thing can actually dance in the corners, pulling over 1G on the skid pad. Tech-wise, you're getting everything you'd expect in 2025, plus some stuff you didn't know you needed. The heads-up display looks like it's from a fighter jet, projecting everything from navigation to lap times. There's even a built-in dash cam system that automatically records your track sessions and can post highlights directly to your social media. For a price, it starts at $55,000 for the V6, while the V8 version kicks off at $72,000. It's not cheap, but consider this. You're getting supercar performance in a car that can actually fit your friends and their stuff, plus it won't fall apart if you look at it wrong. In a world of downsized engines and hybrid everything, the new Caprice is a middle finger to conformity, wrapped in American muscle and topped with modern tech. It's the kind of car that makes you remember why you fell in love with driving in the first place. 2025 Morris Minor. If you thought Retromodern was just about Minis and Fiat 500s, the automotive world is about to get a serious shakeup. The iconic Morris Minor is making a comeback, and trust me, this isn't your granddad's Sunday cruiser. Think of it as Britain's answer to the EV revolution, but with a twist that'll make both purists and tech heads do a double take. The new Morris Minor keeps the soul of the original, those curvy fenders, that distinctive grille, and that unmistakable silhouette. But everything else? That's pure 2025. What makes this Reborn legend so freaking cool? Forget the old 948 cubic centimeters engine that barely pushed out 37 horsepower. The 2025 model comes with a choice of 2 electric powertrains. The standard setup rocks a single motor pushing out 250 horsepower to the rear wheels. And you heard that right, it's rear-wheel drive. But if that's not enough to get your heart racing, there's the dual-motor performance version that cranks out a ridiculous 400 horsepower. That's enough to launch this little British rocket from 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. Try doing that in your original 1948 Minor. Stepping inside, it's like someone took a time machine and stuffed it full of tech from 2025. The dash keeps that classic round speedometer look, but it's actually a 12.3-inch digital display that can switch between different layouts. The infotainment system runs on a 15-inch touchscreen that somehow doesn't look out of place in the retro interior. They've even included a heritage mode that makes the displays look like original Morris Minor gauges. The design is where things get really interesting. The designers had the impossible task of making it look classic and modern at the same time. And honestly, they nailed it. The body shape is pure Morris Minor. Those iconic headlights, the bubble-like roof, and that distinctive grille. But look closer and you'll spot modern LED lighting, flush door handles that pop out when you approach, and gorgeous 18-inch wheels that somehow look period correct and futuristic at the same time. Inside, it's a perfect blend of old and new. The seats are covered in this premium leather with a pattern that looks straight out of the 50s, but they're heated, cooled, and way more supportive than anything from back then. The steering wheel looks vintage but packs modern controls, and there's even a phone charging pad hidden under the front armrest. And yes, they've kept the trademark click-clack sound of the indicator stalks, as some things are too iconic to change. The Morris team has also spent serious time making sure this thing handles like a dream. The battery pack is mounted low in the floor, giving it a center of gravity that the original engineers could only dream about. The suspension setup is fully independent and adaptive. meaning it can switch from comfortable cruising to corner carving at the push of a button. Starting at around 45,000 pounds, about $57,000, it's positioning itself as a premium offering. But considering the tech, performance, and uniqueness factor, it's actually decent value compared to some other retro modern EVs out there. The 2025 Morris Minor isn't just a nostalgia trip. It's got enough performance to embarrass sports cars, enough tech to satisfy gadget lovers, and enough style to turn heads wherever it goes. Plus, with an estimated range of 280 miles on a single charge, it's actually practical enough for daily use. This isn't just another EV trying to look different. It's a proper tribute to one of Britain's most beloved cars, reimagined for a new generation. Whether you're a classic car fan or just someone who appreciates unique automotive engineering, the new Morris Minor deserves your attention. It's proof that you can respect heritage while embracing the future, and that's something worth getting excited about. 2025 Monte Carlo SS. At number 6, we have the new 2025 Monte Carlo SS. The new Monte Carlo SS shatters expectations by blending retro cool with cutting-edge performance. While the original made its name with a big V8, Chevy's engineers have gone full send with a dual-motor electric powertrain pumping out a face-melting 650 horsepower. We're talking 0 to 60 in around 3.2 seconds, numbers that would have seemed like science fiction to original Monte Carlo owners. But what makes this Reborn legend special isn't just straight-line speed. The Monte Carlo rides on GM's Ultium platform, with the battery pack cleverly integrated into the floor for a perfect 50-50 weight distribution. Those batteries aren't just for show either. We're looking at roughly 300 miles of range, meaning you can actually use this beast as a daily driver. Let's talk style, because this is where Chevy absolutely nailed it. The design team kept the essence of the 70s Monte Carlo, that long hood, swept-back roofline, and muscular haunches, but modernized everything with sharp LED lighting and subtle aero tweaks. The front end rocks a blacked-out grille with hidden headlights that pay homage to the original while looking totally contemporary. Those massive 21-inch wheels might seem excessive, but they fill out the wheel wells perfectly, giving the car that perfect stance. Inside, it's a perfect blend of old school and new tech. The cockpit wraps around the driver with a massive curved display that combines digital gauges with infotainment. But you've still got toggle switches and physical controls for the important stuff. The bucket seats are proper thrones with enough bolstering to keep you planted during aggressive driving, but comfortable enough for long cruises. Speaking of cruising, this isn't just some one-trick pony built for drag strips. The adaptive air suspension can transform from track-ready firm to boulevard cruiser smooth at the push of a button. The regenerative braking is adjustable too, so you can choose between one-pedal driving or a more traditional feel. Performance specs are properly insane. 650 horsepower from dual motors, 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3.2 seconds, quarter mile in 11.5 seconds, top speed of 155 miles per hour, electronically limited, 300-mile range, DC fast charging capability, 10 to 80% in about 30 minutes. But the best part? Chevy's included what they call heritage mode. If you hit that button, the digital displays transform to look like classic analog gauges, complete with simulated engine sounds through the premium audio system. It's a gimmick, sure, but it's a fun one that bridges a gap between past and future. Price-wise, we're looking at around $75,000 for the base SS model, with a fully loaded version pushing close to $90,000. And I understand it's not cheap, but consider what you're getting. Supercar-level performance, cutting-edge tech, and daily driver practicality wrapped in a package that turns heads everywhere it goes. What makes this car special is how it manages to satisfy both old-school muscle car fans and tech-savvy performance enthusiasts. The instant torque from those electric motors actually delivers a more visceral experience than a traditional V8, while the advanced chassis control systems mean you can actually use all that power without ending up on YouTube's Next Fail compilation. Is it perfect? Some purists will never accept an electric Monte Carlo, and the price tag puts it out of reach for many young enthusiasts. But as a vision of where performance cars are headed, It's incredibly exciting. This isn't just another EV trying to be a Tesla. It's a proper American muscle car that just happens to be electric. The 2025 Monte Carlo SS proves that the future of performance cars doesn't have to be boring. It's a bold statement that heritage and innovation can coexist, creating something that honors the past while blazing a trail into the future. Whether you're a classic car enthusiast or a tech-loving gearhead, this is one revival that deserves your attention. 2025 Pontiac Firebird. The last, but not the least on our list, is the 2025 Pontiac Firebird, and it's here to dominate. GM's designers have somehow managed to capture the muscular DNA of the original while creating something that looks like it rolled straight out of a sci-fi street racing movie. The signature hood scoop is still there, but now it's integrated into a carbon fiber hood that looks mean enough to make a Dodge Demon nervous. Let's get to the numbers that matter. Under that aggressive hood sits a modified version of GM's LT6 flat-plane crank V8, pumping out a ridiculous 670 horsepower. 0 to 60? We're talking 3.2 seconds of pure tire-shredding American muscle. But here's where it gets interesting. While the original Firebird was basically a straight-line warrior, this new version comes with adaptive magnetic suspension, carbon ceramic brakes, and a chassis that's been tested and tuned on the Nürburgring. Stepping inside, it's like someone took a fighter jet cockpit and mixed it with classic muscle car vibes. The digital cluster changes appearance based on your driving mode, but still rocks that classic twin-pod design that Firebird fans will recognize. The center console is driver-focused, with a 12.3-inch touchscreen that doesn't try to take over the whole dashboard like some modern rides. Physical controls for important stuff like climate and volume, they're still there, thank God. The seats? Carbon fiber-backed Recaros with the Firebird logo embossed in the headrests. They'll hold you in place during high-G corners, but won't kill your back on long drives. The rear seats actually fold down, giving you enough space to haul a set of track tires. Speaking of tracks, GM's engineers didn't just focus on straight-line speed. The new Firebird comes with launch control, line lock for burnouts, and even a performance data recorder that lets you capture your track days or canyon runs in HD video with overlaid performance data. There's even a drift mode. Not that we're encouraging anything crazy. Price-wise, we're looking at around $75,000 for the base model, which might seem steep until you realize what you're getting. Supercar-level performance, daily driver usability, and the kind of presence that makes people stop and stare. The top-tier version, with additional aero bits, carbon fiber everything, and track-focused suspension tuning, will likely hit around $90,000. The color palette includes some modern interpretations of classic Firebird hues. You can get it in black with a gold screaming chicken on the hood, and it somehow looks incredibly modern, while giving off serious 77 Trans Am vibes. There's also a new color called Digital Phoenix Red that changes hue slightly depending on the lighting. But perhaps the best part, they've managed to make this thing relatively fuel efficient for a 670 horsepower monster, thanks to cylinder deactivation and some clever aerodynamics. You can actually daily drive this thing without having to remortgage your house for gas money. The transmission options might upset some purists. There's no manual available. Instead, you get a lightning-quick 8-speed dual clutch that can shift faster than any human. What we're looking at here is more than just another retro cash grab. This is GM proving they can build a modern muscle car that honors its heritage while pushing the performance envelope. It's got the tech to hang with European sports cars, costing twice as much, the raw power that made muscle cars great, and enough daily usability to justify it as more than just a weekend toy. The 2025 Firebird isn't just a comeback, it's a statement. American muscle isn't dead, it's evolving. And if this is the future of performance cars, we're all in for a great ride. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.